Hey, welcome back, retirees. Today I'm going to talk about two plants that I think you should know about. People ask me, what should I grow that's going to bloom early in the season that'll benefit our native pollinators? And two of the best plants that bloom early, they're really hardy, they're easy to grow, are in the pea family, they're Fabaceae family, and they do some good things. They add nitrogen to the soil. They provide food for the early pollinators. So the first one is Baptisia australis, uh, blue wild indigo, I think they call it. Beautiful plant. And some of the Baptisias also come in yellow and white. I'll show you. I have a nice picture of a beautiful yellow one in my friend's garden. And the other one is Thermopsis villosa, which looks like a Baptisia, and it is yellow, and it's very hardy, and it's easy to grow. And both of these plants are native to the east. The Thermopsis, there's some question about how far north it's native. It's basically a southeast native, but some books and experts say it's native all the way up to Maine and New Hampshire. So I don't really know, but it grows well here in New Jersey. It grows in zones, I'm sure, 5 to probably 8. Beautiful plant. And Baptisia is native to the whole eastern United States, except for the very deep south. So I'm going to show you pictures of them. I'm going to show you videos of them in bloom. Absolutely beautiful. They are deer and rabbit resistant. I've never had deer or rabbits nibble on them at all. So that's a great thing for many of us who are gardening in places where white-tailed deer are a problem. Rabbits are a problem every place, I guess. And they're expensive to buy, but they're very easy to grow from seed, and I'm going to show you that. There's a couple of things you need to do, but they germinate right away. And then I'm going to show you how long it takes to get some flowers on them. And I've got Thermopsis in the ground for a year, and they have really nice flowers. In 2 years, they're absolutely beautiful. And Baptisia take about 3 years till you get your first flowers. But I'll show you all that. So hang in, and we're going to take a look at Baptisia australis and Thermopsis villosa, and two really beautiful early flowering plants that are necessary for our early bees and butterflies, pollinators that come out of hibernation before a lot of the other plants are blooming, and they definitely need something to eat. So we will take a look at all of them, and I'll explain things as I go. So stay tuned. Okay, I'm going to show you how to grow these plants from seed. So I have some Baptisia seeds here, and the Thermopsis are the same. And actually, a lot of the plants in the pea family, you have to do this way. Partridge pea, I have some partridge pea here. There's Desmodium, senna, wild senna. These are all in the pea family, and they all need to be well, they don't need to be, but the easiest way to grow them from seed is to do it this way. Okay, so what we have here are some seeds, a pretty good sized seed from Baptisia australis, okay? And what we have to do, we have to scarify them. So most of our native plants, native perennials especially, need to either be stratified or scarified. So stratified is when they need a certain amount of time, usually several months, of cold, moist conditions in order to germinate. So what we do, you could start them in the refrigerator, in moist sand or moist paper towels for a couple of months. Or what most people do is just plant them, usually in containers or whatever, in the fall, so that they go through several months of cold, warm, thaw, freeze, and that breaks their dormancy. And then in the spring, they germinate and they grow. But some plants, and these included, that'll work. But in order to get a really good percentage to germinate, they should be scarified, which means that this little seed or these little seeds, they have a hard coating. And it's best if you can scratch that coating so that they can germinate. And then what happens is, after you do this, they germinate quite quickly. So I just have these are some little Baptisia seedlings that I started a few weeks ago, but they came up in a week, and look they already have true leaves. And I didn't, I just took them out of the paper container I had them in and scarified them and planted them, and they came right up. And the same thing happens with Thermopsis. And, these are some partridge pea that I did the same way. And they came up right away. And I'm going to do a video on these. This is a really good pollinator plant. And they're beautiful. It's an annual, unfortunately, but they reseed themselves anyway. And then they reseed themselves and they stratify themselves. In other words, the seeds fall down in the fall, and they sit there all winter, and they get cold and hot. And the ones that don't get eaten by the birds and the mice germinate. And this was a pretty cold winter, and that seems to be better. So I have a huge patch of them in my front yard. I never had them there before. I have no idea how the seeds got there. But anyway, I'm going to show you what to do. So this is 150 sandpaper, okay? So really what you want to do, a couple of ways. You can bend it down like this and just scratch them. Or you can just take your finger and scratch it until you see a very light colored area. You don't want to go too deep. I don't know. Can you see how that is a little lighter? It's hard to see in the video, but trust me, a little bit of scratching like this. They're kind of small. I want to show you the dark side, okay? Now there's the seed, that's the dark side. And now you can see it's got like a little whitish into it. Maybe you can see it, I don't know. But anyway, that's really all you need to do. And then just plant them in moist soil, and they germinate pretty quickly. And you can do that with just about anything in the pea family, as far as a perennial, a native perennial. So, and these are native to the Northeast. They're native to a good part of the United States, and they're really beautiful. And I'm going to show you some pictures of them in bloom and some pictures of year-old plants and 2-year-old plants and what the seed pods look like. And hopefully, I can get you to grow some of these plants. And these are good garden plants, by the way. Like so many of our native plants are aggressive, and they're really not good in a home garden. But almost everything here in the pea family, they're well behaved. Like these guys, partridge pea, well, they reseed every place. They just pull them out. They're easy to pull out. The Thermopsis and the Baptisia, they stay, more contained. They're not aggressive. In fact, the Thermopsis don't really like a lot of neighbors. They keep the area around them clean, but they make. You'll see how beautiful they are a little bit later in this video. So okay, so that's how we grow these plants from seed, and this is easy to do, cheap, fixed income. Can't be spending $35 on a plant when we can get them for free. Really, most native plant gardens have Baptisia in them anyway. Thermopsis a little harder to find, but Baptisia are easy to find. So okay, I'll show you some more pictures. Hang in there. Okay, this guy I did plant, he's a really deep blue. I think the species normally not quite this blue, but I bought it as Baptisia australis, native plant, absolutely gorgeous. It's a host plant for some moths, so it provides caterpillars. Somebody's flying around it. Oh, we got a little skipper right on it. See if we can get him. So as you can see, the skippers like it. I'm going to tell you what skipper that is once I look it up, because I'm not great with skippers. There he is. Oh, actually, it's a female. I know what it is. I think it's a Zabulon cup. I have to look it up. Come on, get in focus. So as you can see, it's a good pollen plant, an early pollen plant, and the early butterflies need it. So that's, proof right there. Plant some native plants, please. Get outside, get some exercise, look things up, learn stuff, use your brain, don't get dementia. Have a great retirement. Okay, let's see what else we can find. So this is Thermopsis. Um, I'm not sure what the species name is. I could look it up. But this is a plant. I got some seeds from a garden. Some actually gave me some seeds, and you need to scarify them first. In other words, you need to break the coating. So I put them in sandpaper and rub them back and forth. And then I did winter stratify them too. In other words, I planted them in the early winter and let them stay out all winter, and then they sprouted in the spring. So these plants, is this the second or the third year? I'm not really sure, but they're just beautiful. And every year they'll get bigger and bigger. They make a big taproot. Once you plant them, you have to leave them. It's really hard to move. I just had a bumblebee on one, but this is Thermopsis. And, this is what you can do in a busy, there's a bumblebee now. Whoop, a little bee anyway. So you can do in a county park. It's a busy county park, but I got permission, and there's a bumblebee. And, it's a nice sunny place. I can grow all these plants. There's a little sweat bee. I don't know if he's coming out. It's so cute. Here's the bumblebee. He has to work to get this pollen because these are pea-type flowers, a little funky. That's a brown-belted bumblebee, which is not uncommon, but all bumblebees are declining anyway. So anything you can do to help them is good. This is Thermopsis. There's a little flower fly on this one. Yeah, the pollinators love this thing. You should, if you have a sunny place, this is a good plant to grow. Help nature. Get outside. Help yourself. Okay, next. So this little baptisia I started a year ago from seed. I showed you earlier in the video those little seedlings that are only 10 days or 2 weeks old, and that's what this was a year ago. So it right now is more than a foot tall. I'm guessing next year it'll get a couple of flowers, And you know what? Again, it's pretty foliage. It's a nice plant. It's very long lived. It's very well behaved. This is good for your garden at home. The rabbits and the deer have not hurt it. I had a rabbit nest basically a couple of feet away from this little plant, and the baby rabbits didn't touch it. So, it's not something that they normally munch on. And just over here, I'll show you. At the same time, I had started some Thermopsis. We can see them over here if I can get up. So these little Thermopsis were started at the same time, and they got a couple of flowers. Now, like I said before, supposedly they don't like to be crowded with other plants, so I'm going to have to do some weeding. I have a lot of Rudbeckia hirta that are annuals and biennials that come up every year, and they're really the backbone of the garden for a good part of the year because they'll just be covered in flowers, and I'll show you that probably in another 2 or 3 weeks. So, but this is Thermopsis, a year-old Thermopsis. Already has a little bit of flowers, and the baptisia I just showed you probably get a couple of flowers next year. So these are good plants to grow, and they're very, very long-lived, and they're very good garden plants, and the deer and the rabbits leave them alone. And, they're native plants. The native bees and butterflies depend on early blooming plants like these. So this is something you should grow. And, you get out and work in the garden and get fresh air and learn about these plants and learn about the bugs that feed on them, and enjoy your retirement, keep your brain healthy and your body healthy, and help the planet at the same time. Here is the caterpillar to a little butterfly called wild indigo dusky wing. Unfortunately, I disturbed him. I have to get him covered up. so he doesn't get eaten. So wild indigo is Baptisia australis. Let's go back here. And this is the little seedling that I had planted last year. So it's already providing food for one of our native butterflies. So that makes me happy. So this is why we do this, you know. So this little caterpillar may get eaten by a bird who's going to feed their babies with it, you know, or maybe he'll or she'll make a little pupae and hatch into another little butterfly and keep the species going. Either way, it's good. It's a good thing. Wild indigo dusky winged butterfly.